Am I the a-hole for setting boundaries with my boyfriend's daughter? I, 39 female, have been with my boyfriend for a little over 2 years, and I've known his children for about 6 months. He has 2 daughters with his ex-wife who are 16 and 10. Their mother is married and they both seem very close to their stepdad, which I'm happy for them for. However, as I've gotten to know them, it's become really obvious that they view him as more of a parental figure than me and even their actual father at times. His older daughter even took her driving test in her stepdad's car. They both call their stepfather dad, and while they both seem to respect and appreciate him more, his older daughter is over the top with it. Eventually, I asked both of them to stop calling him dad. To their credit, they did both seem like they were trying not to in front of my boyfriend, and for a few weeks everything seemed fine. However, I found out later from his younger daughter that his older daughter still does it when we aren't around. The next time I saw her was 2 weeks ago, and I sat her down to talk to her about it, which she didn't want to, but I was firm. I told him that if she was old enough to drive, she was old enough to understand that the household rules apply even outside of the house. She just rolled her eyes at me and told me to mind my business. I was frustrated but didn't think it was that big of a deal. My boyfriend told me that he agrees with me, but I should have let it go, and I told him that wouldn't teach her anything. It was actually her mother who was the most upset about it. She called me after my boyfriend dropped his daughters off at her house the next day and told me that I had no business telling her daughter what to call her husband and that I was way out of line. She went on and on about how if I actually cared about them, I'd be happy that they have a father figure since my boyfriend wasn't going to do it. I told her that was enough and that my boyfriend was a good father, and she hung up. His older daughter isn't speaking to either of us now and skipped their last visit with us. Ita? Comment 1. You have to be fucking kidding me here. You are the a-hole in every way possible. You have no authority to think you get to tell another person's children who they can and cannot call dad. You don't get to police their relationships. You're just bitter they view their stepfather as a parental figure and they don't do the same for you. Perhaps it's because you're terrible? Household rules apply even outside the house. You made this rule, but it's based on your own insecurity, and you have no right to think this rule you've established has any merit and must be enforced. It's laughable that you think you have any amount of authority in this matter. You are a third party standing by the sidelines. All you've done is ensure they don't respect you, will never view you as a parent, and have shown you are unfit to act as one for them. Wake up, lady. You've only done damage here. Some fucking stranger enters their lives and 6 months later she's telling them how to view their stepfather who they have an actual relationship with, and you think that's reasonable. Comment 2. Op has made it clear in an amazingly small amount of words that she has no idea how to co-parent. The fact that she would think that her horribly conceived rule would apply at the girl's mother's house is insane, especially considering she didn't discuss with the girl's mother in the first place. The fact that Op's boyfriend agrees with her shows that he doesn't understand co-parenting either. Edit, a few have replied to me now attempting to justify the father's actions as keeping the peace. Believe it or not, they actually makes him worse at the whole parenting thing, not better. And it in no way, shape, or form negates what I said about him not knowing how to co-parent. Next story.
Am I the a-hole for calling my sister a fatbee after she insulted my son? I'm male 44, have a 19-year-old son who I will refer to as Max. Max has always been slightly overweight. Not fat but not skinny either, weighing around 250 pounds at 6 feet 4 inches. He was incredibly active in high school, playing football as well as wrestling for his school. He has always been a little embarrassed by his extra chub but has been slowly growing more and more confident as he has gotten older, which has been incredibly encouraging to watch. My 39 female sister, who I will call Beth, and I have never had a strong relationship. During our childhood, she was often given preferential treatment due to minor health conditions she had, which led to her constantly tormenting me until I was finally able to move out at 18. After I moved, I went limited contact with all family. However, when I began to have children, my wife encouraged me to try to be more involved with family for the sake of my kids. My children became very close with my nieces and nephews over the years, so I continued to keep the peace for the sake of my kids. All of this leads to today, my niece's 22nd birthday. Of course, my family attended the party, which was held at Beth's house. In the beginning, everything was going fine. The kids were spending time with their cousins while my wife and I were enjoying the party as well. Max was sitting on the couch in the living room playing a game on his cousin's Xbox along with his younger cousin when Beth decided to provide the unwanted comment of, "You know, Max, if you spend a little less time on those video games, you could probably drop a few pounds. Maybe find yourself a girlfriend." The party fell quiet as Max sat there embarrassed by Beth's comments. I responded to Beth by saying, "Don't be ridiculous. This is a party. We're all sitting around eating and drinking, having a good time. Why are you trying to embarrass him?" To which she replied, "I wasn't trying to embarrass him, I was just trying to offer him some advice. It's not my fault he's so sensitive." After I heard that, I snapped back at Beth saying, "Who the F do you think you are to be giving my son advice about his weight? Max goes for a run every morning and works as a carpenter. When was the last time you climbed a flight of stairs?" Beth, looking offended, snarled, "Good Lord, I was just trying to help him out and you insult me like that. You always did have an anger issue. I feel bad for you, wife." After that, I snapped. I yelled back, "You're just a fat bee who tried to embarrass my son in front of all our family just so you could get some attention. Then you have the balls to try and insult me? Go F yourself, you stupid bee." After that, my wife and kids and I all left. Since then, my phone has been bombarded with texts and calls from family members telling me to apologize. I spoke to my wife about it, and while she agrees Beth was out of line for saying what she said, I took it too far and need to apologize to Beth and my niece for causing a scene on her birthday. So AITA? Comment 1. NTA, apologize to the niece but not your sister. She doesn't deserve one. Comment 2. This would be more of an everyone sucks here situation in my opinion. His reaction caused way more attention on his son's weight and the sister's comment, and would have further humiliated him by everyone now hearing what the sister said. It was also uncalled for to cause a huge scene at the niece's birthday party. Obviously, the sister is an AH for her comment, but Opie should have spoken to her either in private or after the party so as not to further embarrass his son and disrupt the niece's party. I'm all for defending your child, but this is not the mature, adult way to handle such a thing. I feel awful for the son.
Next story.
My wife went out last night and didn't come home until this morning. This is horrible. I'm furious right now. But I'm also depressed as hell. I know what I have to do. It's just killing me that I have to do it. It's fresh, and it hurts a lot. My wife didn't come home last night. She went out with a couple of girlfriends, which is pretty normal for her. She's normally back around 2 a.m. on these nights, so I waited up. Around 2:30, I called to check in. She answered, and I could hear people in the background. She told me they went to a party but were leaving in a couple of minutes. She wasn't home by 3, so I texted. It delivered, but no reply. Around 4 a.m. I called again. It rang a couple of times before she sent me to voicemail. My wife finally came stumbling through the door at 6:47 a.m. this morning. I know the exact time because I was worried. She was wearing a dress she didn't leave the house in, with mesh leggings I've never seen either. The leggings had clearly been torn, and her makeup was smudged. My heart sank when I saw her. My immediate worry was that she had been assaulted. She only shook her head no when I asked her that. I asked her what she had been doing then. She only said that I knew what she had been doing, and that kind of confirmed what the voice in the back of my head had been screaming since she walked in. My wife cheated on me last night. I asked her who it was. She shrugged almost casually and said it was somebody they met at the club. She went back to his house and hooked up with him, then Ubered home. She then said she didn't want to fight and just wanted to sleep. So that's what she did. She's still asleep now, and didn't even take a shower before passing out. Suffice to say, our relationship is over. We don't have any kids, and we rent, so it shouldn't be an extremely complicated process. I keep trying to reason myself out of it, pretending there might be something to salvage here. I've always maintained that cheating would be a red line for me, though. I think I need to stick to that now. Comment 1. You keep trying to reason yourself out of it because this just happened, and you're still in shock. The feeling of betrayal is still going to be there when the shock fades, so don't let yourself humor her now. Also, just to be 100% safe, I'd recommend an STD screening. This might not be the first time she's done something of this nature. Opie reply. I really don't think she's done this multiple times. If she had, she'd likely have come home and told me right away anyways. She's always been the type of person who can't keep things bottled inside. I will get tested though, it can't hurt, though I am a little scared of needles. Comment 2. Get an STD panel. Withdraw half of the money from all of your joint accounts, put them in one only you can access, take your name off the joint account, and cancel any cards that she had access to your money through. Collect all of the evidence you can and send it to a brand new email address just for this that can be an evidence repository to hand over to your lawyers. Contact a lawyer and begin divorce proceedings ASAP. Between each one of these steps, say to yourself, I deserve to be treated better than this, and remember that she's the one who threw everything away, not you. Update. Me again, folks. I'm sorry I didn't get around to this sooner. I wasn't able to get the day off work yesterday because my boss kind of sucks. I was a complete mess at work yesterday though, so I was allowed to take the rest of the week as vacation, thankfully. I think I went through all of the stages of grief while my soon-to-be ex was sleeping. I wasn't expecting my post to get any attention at all. I just figured I needed to try to talk to someone about it, because I was not in a good headspace. I made the post in the morning, and by noon she was still conked out in the bedroom. I had processed things a bit more, and I had a rough plan in my head that I was starting to set in motion. I made a short list of questions I wanted answers to, gathered up all my important documents, laptop, etc. Then I went into the bedroom and started packing myself a suitcase. I know a lot of folks wanted me to kick her out. I did consider it, but honestly I'm not overly attached to this place. We just rent, and I'm in a lucky enough situation to be able to say that paying half the rent for a few months isn't going to financially end me. It'll sting a little bit, I won't lie, but I'll make it, and I feel like being around this place is only going to remind me of her anyway. I need to be looking forward, not back. She ended up waking up about halfway through me packing my suitcase. There was momentary confusion as she looked around the room, then she just started bawling. Maybe this is awful of me, but I didn't bother comforting her. I told her I had the screenshots of her Uber and text messages from her phone, and that plus her confirmation was enough that things between us were completely done. She didn't answer me, and just cried louder. I debated trying to continue the conversation, but I decided to just pack the rest of my suitcase and head back out to the living room until she came out. When she finally left the bedroom, she sat next to me on the couch and asked me if we could talk things through. I told her as calmly as possible that wasn't how things were going to work. I was going to ask questions. I wanted honest answers. She told me she'd be honest, so I proceeded. My voice was shaking the entire time. It was taking me everything to hold it together, but I kept going. Was this the first time she had cheated? She started crying before she answered that, then told me no. She had cheated on me multiple times over the course of our relationship. It was, and I'm going to use her words exactly here, just sex, a way for me to let off steam. None of it ever meant anything. I wrote a comment shortly after making my post that all the love couldn't just fade away in one swoop. Well, it can. It hit me right then that I wasn't dealing with my wife. The person I was married to literally wasn't in the room. This was someone different. She refused to tell me exactly how many times she had cheated, just more than last night. Had she used protection? No hesitation from her before she nodded her head emphatically. She seemed surprised I'd even asked that. I'm still going to get tested just to be safe. I did some research into timing, and I'm going to look after it. Were her friends also cheating on their spouses? Yes and no. I tried to get her to tell me which of her friends were cheating, so I could get in contact with their spouses. She probably should have, because her refusal led to me messaging pretty much the romantic partner of every one of her girlfriends I could find on social media. There are a couple I don't know or couldn't find, but I did my part. Why did she do it? This was the answer that gutted me the most. I'm going to use her exact words again. I need to have sexual variety. I told her that it's not like our sex life is dull. She clarified. It's not the same as something new. I didn't even have a response to that one. I had expected something about me working too much or not supporting her emotionally. Nope. She just fucked other guys because she felt like it and wanted to have some fun. When I didn't respond, she started asking me about counseling and therapy. I reiterated that our relationship was over. I'd be leaving. What she did next disgusted me. My ex actually tried to have sex with me. She put her hands on me and started trying to take off my clothes. I felt like I wanted to vomit and pushed her away after a couple of seconds. She just kept telling me that she would figure out a way to fix it, that we would work through it together. I told her that there was no way, and she started bawling again. She went to the bathroom and locked herself inside. I was just sick of everything at that point. I called her mother and told her what was going on. The full story too, the cheating, the questions I had asked, and the fact I was leaving. I've always had a good relationship with my ex's parents. They both decided to drive to town, which is about an hour for them. Once I knew someone was on the way, I just grabbed my things and left. Her waterworks in the bathroom were just annoying me because it felt hollow to me, especially given the answers to my questions. I ended up packing another bag before I left and took all the things that I could think of that I felt sentimental attachment to with me. I found a parking lot and sat in my car until I was able to get in contact with a buddy for a place to crash. I tried to take a nap, but I was running on way too much adrenaline. I knew when her parents had made it to the apartment because she started calling me. When I didn't answer those, she started texting me. She had gone from sad and crying to furious. Apparently, I'm a fucking piece of shit for telling her mom everything. Whoops. I'm not sorry. I've received roughly 100 texts from her since leaving. They range from name-calling all the way to begging me to come back, to sending me pictures of the food she ate for some reason. I haven't responded to any of them. I feel like I said my piece before leaving. So that's where I'm at now. We didn't have joint finances, so that part was easy. I canceled all the subscriptions that go to my credit card just to be sure, and changed all my important passwords. I'm crashing on a friend's couch for the next bit, but I've got some feelers out to some short-term rental places until I can find something more permanent. I've got feelers out for a divorce attorney too. A coworker of mine had a recommendation, so barring something better, I'll probably go with him. I also wanted to say that I was shocked how supportive everyone was, and thank you for that. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. It isn't easy for me to talk about emotional things with people close to me. This was an invaluable venting place for me. Thank you all so much. Teodar. This wasn't the first time she had cheated on me. I packed up my things and left, and I think I'm on track to being in a better place. Working on initiating divorce proceedings now. Comment 1. My ex also tried to have sex with me when he told me he cheated. He was literally biting my neck whilst I cried on the bed. These people aren't normal. I genuinely think he was sociopathic, and I think yours is too. It's sickening, but a good final nail in the coffin to really kill those feelings. Comment 2. Glad you had the strength to get out of there and not put yourself through more of your ex's bullshit. I find it funny that she started crying now. Seems like a complete flip from how heartless and cold she was to you when she first came home. Good riddance, and good luck to your future OP.